Huh? Must have been a sick raccoon.
He told me once, like, but you're in my way 24/7 when I'm here.
Ooh. What's good?
Yep.
Fertile.
It's huge, man. See that 6 times you're thinking?
Here we go. Good yield. That's a good yield.
Yeah, we get the edges.
I hope you put some air in it.
Right?
Oh yeah.
It sounded like a real high. 3 parts? Yeah.
Get that?
Look at that hydrating.
It's coming, right? Let's move.
There it is, baby. Beautiful. 2 sides.
Just keep going until it starts rolling.
Let's see what happens with the pins first. If the pins hold on this harder.
Pull that other one out.
Yeah, we're on them. It just sunk right in. Okay, hold that. by with